You thought it was just them, your partner, your boss, your ex. You finally discovered narcissistic manipulation, had a name for what you'd been living through, and it felt like someone had thrown open a door you didn't even know existed. But then, something really unsettling started happening. You began noticing the exact same patterns everywhere. The same tactics your toxic partner used, showing up in courtrooms, the same gaslighting coming from your doctor, the same manipulation happening at work, at church, even with your closest friends. And suddenly this terrifying question starts forming in your mind. What if this isn't just about one sick individual? What if the whole system is designed this way? Welcome back to the Narcissistic Abuse Recovery Podcast, everyone. I'm Lynn, your host, and okay, I'm not going to lie to you. Today's episode is heavy, like really heavy, but it's also going to be the most validating hour you've spent in a long time. Before we dive in, I want to give you a heads up about today's content. This episode deals with heavy topics, including narcissistic manipulation, financial control, emotional trauma, workplace harassment, religious institutional betrayal, legal system abuse, medical gaslighting, and systemic oppression. We'll be discussing experiences that may be triggering for survivors of toxic relationships, workplace harassment, domestic violence, economic abuse, or institutional betrayal. If you're currently in an unsafe situation, experiencing ongoing manipulation, or feeling overwhelmed by these topics, please prioritize your safety and well-being. You can always pause this episode and come back to it when you're in a better headspace. Trust your instincts about what you can handle right now. Today, we're talking about that moment, that earth-shattering moment, when you realize narcissistic manipulation isn't just happening in your relationship. It's embedded in every single institution around us. We're going to explore how the same tactics that nearly destroyed your sanity in your personal life are actually the foundation of how our entire society operates. I know that sounds dramatic, but stick with me here because by the end of this episode, you're going to see patterns you never noticed before. And honestly, it's going to change everything. So grab your coffee, get comfortable, and let's dive into this together. So here you are, finally understanding what happened to you. You've got the vocabulary now. Love bombing, gaslighting, triangulation. You can name the tactics that made you feel like you were losing your mind. And for a while, that feels liberating, right? Like finally, someone gets it. Finally, there's an explanation for why you felt so crazy, so trapped, so invisible. But then something weird starts happening. You're sitting in family court, watching your ex work his charm on the judge, and you're thinking, wait a minute, this feels familiar. He's painting you as the unstable one, making himself look reasonable and concerned, and the judge is buying it. Hook, line, and sinker. Or maybe you're at work, and your boss is doing that thing again, where they promise you the world in public, then tear you down in private, and you're thinking, didn't my ex do exactly this? Or you go to your doctor, exhausted and anxious, trying to explain what you've been through, and they hand you a prescription and suggest maybe you're overthinking things, and you walk out feeling gaslit again. That's when it hits you, isn't it? This sick feeling in your stomach when you realize, oh my God, it's not just him. It's everywhere. And honestly, that realization is both terrifying and weirdly validating, because you start to understand that you weren't crazy. You weren't weak. You were dealing with something much bigger than one toxic person. You were up against a system. Let's start with something that, God, this one hits so close to home for almost everyone listening. You couldn't leave because you couldn't afford to. Simple as that. Maybe you didn't have your own bank account or your own credit or even your own car. You thought this was just, I don't know, poor planning on your part, like you should have been more financially independent. Here's what's going to blow your mind. And I mean really mess with your head. Ready for this? 93% of people experiencing financial manipulation lack access to their own money. 93%. Most of them get cash allowances, like children, and have to account for every penny they spend. But wait, there's more. Globally, get this, over 2.7 billion women are legally restricted from having the same job choices as men. Billion. With a B. Now I know what some of you are thinking, but I have a job. I make my own money. This doesn't apply to me. And you're right, sort of. Many women today do have more financial options than our mothers or grandmothers did. But here's what's really twisted about modern financial manipulation. The trap has evolved. Your partner might not prevent you from working anymore. That would be too obvious, right? Instead, he shows up at your workplace during important meetings. He creates chaos at home the night before your big presentation, so you're too exhausted to perform well. He convinces you to put the house in his name. For tax purposes, of course. Does any of this sound familiar? I remember talking to Angela, not her real name. She worked at a car dealership, dealing with harassment every single day. When she finally reported it, you know what management told her? Boys will be boys. Maybe you should lighten up a little. After 4 months of that, she took a pay cut, to work as a teacher's assistant at $8 an hour. $8 an hour. That's not coincidence, folks. That's the system working exactly as designed. And just when women started gaining some financial ground, guess what's happening? Laws restricting reproductive choices, forcing women into unplanned pregnancies that derail careers, cuts to child care funding, trapping women at home, attacks on no-fault divorce laws, making it financially devastating to leave a toxic marriage. In many states right now, as we speak, legislators are actively working to eliminate no-fault divorce. They want to make it harder and more expensive for women to leave harmful relationships. It's like they're taking notes from your manipulator's playbook. Oh, this one makes my blood boil every single time. Maybe the most devastating betrayal of all, seeking help from your faith community, only to be told that your role was to be more submissive, more forgiving, more Christ-like in your suffering. Marriage is sacred, they said. Have you prayed about this? Maybe God is using this to teach you patience. Are you kidding me? You were told that leaving would mean giving up on God's plan, that your partner's harmful behavior was something you needed to pray through, rather than a dangerous pattern requiring immediate intervention. Some religious leaders even suggested, and I can barely say this without getting angry, that your failure to be a good enough wife was somehow contributing to the manipulation you were experiencing. Let that sink in for a minute. Here's what's actually happening. Religious institutions, particularly those with traditional hierarchical structures, can inadvertently enable toxic behavior through teachings that prioritize submission and forgiveness over safety and well-being. But let me ask you something. Why don't these institutions teach you how to detect manipulation or toxicity? Why isn't recognizing harmful behavior part of Sunday school curriculum? Could it be, and this is just a thought, because many religious institutions engage in the same or similar control tactics? Think about it. If you learn to recognize manipulation, gaslighting, and power plays, you might start noticing them in the very institution trying to teach you. And then what? They might lose your attendance, your giving, your donations, their reputation. Do they lack training on purpose? Or perhaps they claim to not know. When religious authority figures say they lack training in recognizing harmful patterns, is that really the case? Or is it more convenient to remain willfully ignorant about dynamics that might implicate their own power structure.